best work I make is responding and reacting, and so that means going into a different subculture, a different community, a different country, and actually coming from a new point of view. For the Sydney Modern Commission, I made a series of paintings, which became one painting, and a series of drawings. These documented building, Sydney Modern, and also covered the activities of making the building. It was something that I'd never done, so I really wanted to challenge myself and to sort of challenge people at the gallery of how to actually make a work about this. I didn't have a really clear idea what I was going to do, but it was going to be informed by who I met and how I met them and what went on while I was meeting them, what stories I was given. This is a really celebrative work and a positive work about a building that is going to change the lives of so many more people. It was hard starting the residency or on site. I had to gather people's trust and respect before I was allowed into like a lunchroom or a safety office. So it took a little bit of time, and then I could sort of sit down and listen to people's story. One guy, Dave, that had been working for Richard Crooks for 25 years, he was kind of like the everything guy, the guy that they went to when they couldn't move something or couldn't fix something. He told me that his job every day is just to water the plants in the tea room. And he said otherwise no one would do it, so he just kept these little plants alive. And I kind of like that idea that he's kind of like this relaxed older guy. He's got nothing to prove, but he's a part of that fraternity in a way that keeps things moving on and does the little things. Jo, the lollipop lady, I wanted to have her larger than life because that's how she was, her personality, but also her job, stopping traffic and directing traffic into the site. It's actually a really complex sort of busy day-to-day job because everything goes through you. Glenn, the safety officer, giving me an idea of his daily grind, coming to work, being the safety officer at a time with COVID, which was, incredibly stressful. COVID really had a big impact because my original sort of idea was coming up sort of once a month. And so like every time Melbourne got a green light to open up, I raced up here. I just collated as much as I could, had things like the architectural plans, had the photos that I'd taken, the stories that I'd taken. So I'd had a whole compendium of visual references and many visual references as I could get actually, and that's when the stories became more important. That I think, this is a story that I think I need to have in the painting and people need to hear, and it's important that this person is documented.
I've walked Richard around the job a few times. Now I do remember him being very interested in the personal, what made me do the role that I do. And I've got to be honest, I was quite taken back because I was expecting like a small little caricature. The second I seen it, I went, yeah, that's my rough mug. I remember them wanting the gallery itself to be a piece of art as well as the art installations inside the gallery, and I think it's been achieved. It's a really beautiful building.
I managed all the deliveries and coming in and out of the art gallery. We knew that he'd been commissioned to do a painting, and he said, would you be interested? And I went, sure, I'll just be like a little orange dot. But a little orange dot, my goodness.
I've seen him around the site, speaking with people. I spoke with him and he was really fascinated by the project. I love seeing all the people exploring the building and using the building in different ways, and yeah, it's really nice.
He has seen me more than once getting lots of chocolate from the vending machine. Someone from the gallery saw it first and sent me a message saying you're in a painting. And then I had a look and said, that's not me, I'm much thinner than that, but it is me. It is so great to see it working as an art gallery. Feels hugely satisfying.
At the end of the day, we see this gallery as it is, but really the blood, sweat and tears that have gone into making this building is phenomenal. Those things shouldn't be forgotten. I wanted not only to have portraits but also the landscape, because that was super important to document where it was being built, what was behind this building, and to put it into situ in a way, but also to have the struggle and have the materiality of things happening as well. It's a real process-driven way to make the painting. There's a sort of real frenetic energy from one panel to the next and starting to sort of gather and edit as I go. Use steel wool, rags, wire brushes, anything I really get my hands on. And so the studio becomes a real sort of work environment, almost like a construction site. It's all about sort of putting on, layering on, and seeing what evolves from that and letting the sort of painting breathe. I want the painting to be physical. It's really robust, heavy, it's hard wearing. There's no way you can sort of break through it like a canvas or anything like that. It holds its sort of mark, and it's, you know, like I try to beat it up as much as I can, but it just sort of seems to come back to itself. I like the idea that you can scrape these things off. I like the physicality. I like the idea that nothing is permanent. And the sides of the paintings are, I think, are some of the best part of the paintings, and that's all the process that's been there before. There might be up to 12 paintings underneath the painting that you'll get at the end. The process is for me, is just as important as the painting. Drawing for me is my love, you know, like I do drawings as a treat. And the drawings are something that I started some of them up here while I was actually looking at people and gathering stories. So it was important for me to have these as a finished body of work, but also as a starting point as well. And some portraits didn't make the actual final painting, but they were just as important. So excited to see people come up to me and they go, "Oh my God, I didn't know I was going to be in this painting." It's quite phenomenal, the feeling from the very first time that I actually pitched this idea to today. I feel like a big part of me belongs here, and I have a really great, strong connection to the people here. And as an artist, again, it doesn't get any better than that.